to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future. These are my stories of choice, change and action, along with the phenomenal guests I have on here. From a really young age, I've always desired to create a change in the world. The planet has been a constant inspiration to me, and Access Consciousness has shown me the tools to know that anything is possible. And I keep choosing. What are you going to choose? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you are with me, of course, your host, Simone Milasas, and I am at El Lugar in Costa Rica. And this place is absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful. It's so nurturing. And I'm so happy to be here. We have our first ever 6-day event occurring here starting tomorrow. And in the show notes, so if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and start following El Lugar on Instagram. There are some stunning photos. I went for a run this morning and there was just so much present in my world and such a sense of peace and joy that I literally had tears. Like I was crying from the vulnerability that I was being here and with me and with my body. And you know, you run and there's these beautiful trees with so many butterflies on them, and you know, the toucans and just everything. It's just amazing. So please check out El Lugar, the property that we have in Costa Rica, and watch the development, and watch it navigate in a, you know, and grow up to be what it's meant to be here. It's incredible. So very, very happy to be here. And I'm also super happy to have my good friend, Dr. David Kubes. So welcome, David.
Hello, and thank you for having me on your podcast again. I so enjoy this with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I actually enjoy so many things with you, David. Like he's someone that I travel with a decent amount. It's like when we're doing classes all over the world, and David's a great travel buddy. So, and he's actually in the room. You're in the room next to me, but we're doing this on StreamYard, so we had to go into separate rooms to make it better for you guys. So, by the way, if you didn't realize that my podcasts are on YouTube, please go and check that out, and you can see me and David. So there you go. So today I wanted to talk to you about some things about money and about creation. And of course, you're an Access Consciousness Facilitator. You're a Right Riches for You Facilitator. You're a Joy Business Facilitator. Soon you will be a relationship different facilitator, and lots of things going on. And, you know, you and I, we do these Right Riches for You classes, and we're doing a Choice for Wealth, which is the intermediate Right Riches coming up at the Castle in November. And I'm very excited to do that too. It's the first time I'll be doing it with you. Now, here's some stuff that, you know, here's the way I work is I get so downloaded with information from hearing a conversation, watching a TV show, just living my life. And for me, that's how I come across so many inspiration, tools, different choices. And I had an amazing conversation with Gary Douglas this morning because, of course, he's at El Lugar. And he's just, man, that guy is just so phenomenal. And he's so willing to look at his different choices and the future it creates. And one of the topics that we were talking about, amongst so many things, but was it's not about the money, it's about what you create. And he was talking to me recently and sort of going, well, you know, when he dies, where does the money go? Somewhere. You know, when Dane dies, where does the money go? Somewhere. When I die, where does the money go? Somewhere. Like when you die, David, where does the money go? Somewhere. And it's like, what are we trying to create with money? And when I say we, I mean everyone. Okay, like if you're listening to this podcast, it's like, what are you making relevant about money that's not? And what is more relevant is what you choose to create. Now, money makes life easier. I get that. And we just had lunch together, and there was a few people at the table, and I overheard a story you were telling, David. And you were telling Sean, who we work with, and I thought, God, that's so clever, is you were talking about how Well, I'm going to just nudge you
Oh,
here,
go
and
for
then
it.
is you nudge you to tell the story, because you were talking about basically how clever you were to manipulate credit card system and how that all works and getting different money. So this is years ago, but can you talk about that?
Yeah, I was 19 years old. I got my first bank account. I just started studying law at Vienna University, and I had this weekend job at the airport, checking people in and ripping off boarding passes. And they gave students a credit card with a 5,000 euro limit to spend on the credit card. So I got the credit card. I did use a lot of money from the credit card to travel, because when you work for an airline, you get to travel for free on a standby basis, but still you have expenses as you go to all these cities on the weekend. And then I found out, okay, there is another bank and they have the same offer for students. So I got another credit card and I spent the $5,000 that I got there. And then, of course, as I was a student, I didn't make 5,000 a month. It took me like 6 months to do it. So when that one credit card was due, I just took the other credit card, did a cash withdrawal of 5,000, put the money on the other credit card, and the other credit card was open. When the other credit card then became due for payment, I went with the first credit card, took the cash and went. I was just, playing ping pong with this 5,000, and I knew it doesn't. I have to stop at some point, but I used it during the semester, because during the summer holiday the airline asked us to work full time, because all the mothers working at the airport wanted their vacation days off. So I remember every summer I asked for every night shift, every late shift, every holiday to work, because you got paid double. And I just made it up. I was working my ass off to pay off that credit card. But as soon as summer was over, I had like my two credit cards paid off, and I had 6 months to have a great life and play that game again, always knowing that one day I will have money. I just knew I
Tell
wasn't.
me about that. One day I will have money.
I knew. I mean, I was working at the airline. I was going to law school, and I just knew that this is just a game, because it will end, because one day I will be rich. That's why I actually could look at it as a game and not into something. I wouldn't. Didn't tell anyone. So if anyone is listening that knows me, especially my family, they would have gone. They would have gone crazy. I mean, that is just. This is how you create bankruptcy. If you don't look at it, hey, it's just a game.
Well, you would have been considered irresponsible, all of that stuff. So
I remember the day. It was like 5 years in. These two banks merged.
oh, really? That's so funny.
I got a call from the new bank manager. Excuse me, is it possible that you have two credit cards? But that moment, I finished law school and I just registered for my PhD.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, really?" And she was, "You know what? As you registered for PhD, you actually qualify for a higher credit card limit. So we can merge the credit card and give you 10,000 on one."
Oh,
So
that's
like,
great.
wow.
I love it. But that you just described like having two lovers, and it's like, oop, all of a sudden they're knocking on the door at the same time. What do I do now? Hi. I love it. It's brilliant. So what I wanted to acknowledge is the brilliance of you being aware of what you could choose. And by no means, I'm not encouraging, and I know David's not encouraging you to go out there and get lots of credit cards and keep paying them off and doing that. But here's the thing. Most people will do that from being ignorant to what the end result is. And for me, it's like you need to be in question so much. And I did something really similar, but I didn't do it from awareness. So I was so good at getting loans. Like I would get credit cards, I'd get more credit cards. And then my father, who was Lithuanian, and we have this thing in Australia, like you have like the Croatian club, the Lithuanian club, the Russian club, from all the expats and stuff like that, from, so diversified with all the migrants, I should say, coming to Australia. So you have the Lithuanian club. And if you're Lithuanian, and my father was Lithuanian, that means you can get a loan from the Lithuanian club at a really cheap rate. So I, of course, went, well, I'll get a loan from them too. And so I remember getting a loan from them, and I did pay off some of my credit cards, but then I got a loan from somewhere else and I owed money. And I was doing it really from being so ignorant to what was going to happen. Like I really was living from, under a rock, as they say, and just thinking, this is all going to go away. This will all go away. I can keep spending money. I can keep getting loans and it will all go away. And it didn't. It didn't. Okay. So if you're listening and you're creating a similar thing to what I did, it's somebody's not going to come knocking on the door and say, hey, don't worry about it. We've got this. We're going to take all these loans away and we're going to pay all this off. So I really had to look at my life and look at my money situation and change it. And that was really confronting. And I'm going to say it was easy and not easy as well. And the piece I want to acknowledge about you and also about myself is, for me, that was so much about what we could create. The money's not relevant with that. Like I changed it. It's like I used the Access Consciousness tools and I changed my financial reality and I have money. And now that I have money and you have money, and we would be considered rich, like that's exactly what, the world would consider us rich. I just consider myself me, like, and I'm sure you do too. It's like, we have these, luxury items or whatever, but for me, it's so much about that. It's like, what can we create? And as I went running today around Elugar, and I was like, wow, what can we choose to create with the money? Like, what do we create? So I wanted to ask you about that as well, and how you see that being in the world, because there's such a fine line of people making money more prevalent than what you can choose with money.
Well, what I still keep doing, I still keep living a joyful life, and I still keep using the money to make money. I do make a good amount of money, but I don't have money sitting around doing nothing. I constantly create, knowing I enjoy creation and will create more. So when you asked me about risk, I wouldn't say risk, would just create more. I would risk yourself and create more. So I look at the creativity of it, using money to create more, using money to create more money. I'm not kind of a hoarder. I love too many things in life. I love traveling in style. I love real estate. I love investing in the stock market now. So I have a lot of playgrounds, but for me, it's a creation. And people ask me, but what if? Well, what if the world goes down? I mean, it won't stop turning. I will get creative again. And if necessary, start over. This is what I did with my first credit card. It wasn't really, I didn't even consider credit card debt. It was a creative way to have a good life during the semester. I knew I would work 30 days in a row, night shift. But I enjoyed it because I knew by doing that, I will have freedom for the next 6 months again. And this is what I kept repeating. And this is what I still do. I look at, you can't repeat life, okay? You can only live it. If you wait for later, and that's probably a post-Second World War mentality, to work hard and then enjoy pension. I don't want to retire. I want to live the life I enjoy now, not because I could die tomorrow. I don't plan on it, but this is enjoy life, live well, and create. And fear of losing is just not part of that. It's not part of my reality, because losing, it's just, sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. It's kind of a little roller coaster, but that's the spice of life. That's what keeps it livable. That's what keeps life, what keeps me alive as well. That constant state of creation and enjoying creation. Things are what they are, and it's your choice to be concerned or to be creative and enjoy what is. So this is how I look at it. I don't function from fear and risk. I function from, that was an amazing day. That was a really comfortable trip. That was an awesome week. And what else?
You do. I get so inspired, David, by your choices as well, because the way you get so excited about, well, a plane. You'll get so excited about traveling first class on a plane, and still we'll take a photo and just be like, oh, and it was this and it was that, like a little kid. And I love it. And it creates joy. So there's something I really get that we are getting to with money. And with that, I mean, with access consciousness and all the tools, like, because access consciousness tools you can use in any area of your life. Like, I have used them in everything. Like my last relationship, I honestly do not think it would have lasted 8 years if I wasn't using access consciousness tools. They changed the way I was in and can be in relationships, right? Business. It's like, for once, I didn't think I was going crazy the way I looked at business when Gary Douglas and the Access tools sort of empowered me to know that I know and to follow that. And it's the same thing with money. We've all got a story to tell about money. We've all got a story to tell about, how we grew up. Did you grow up with money, not money? Like, recently I was talking to someone who's a trust fund baby, and she was so like, I'm a trust fund baby, like almost trying not to mention. I was like, that's so friggin' cool. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, use it, And I was so, I don't know, enamored. I was like, that's just amazing. That's awesome. Like, that's her life. This is my life. That is your life. How did we grow up with money? What did we choose? What are we currently choosing? What can we create? And if we acknowledge that all the points of view that you currently have around money, what if they're not yours? And what would you like to create? Like, what would you like as your future? I love the way David just described that too. Like, he doesn't have money sitting around. I have a little bit of money sitting around, and you've actually inspired me sometimes because I invest in pretty much the same things you invest in. Not because David doesn't, just because we have a similarity of what we enjoy with things like that. And, recently you said something and I went, oh, that's a good idea. Because I had money sitting in this, an account I call it the Joy of Taxes, because it's my money for tax. And I went, oh yeah, I might use some of that money to invest in stock. Now, anytime I invest in stock, I'm willing to lose it. So I invested in this share and then it went down. I went, that's so funny that I did that. But it was great for me because I went, oh, okay, so it's gone down. And I actually do think this stock is like a marathon. This one's another marathon stock. Like, you're going to have to keep it in there for a little while, which I will. But I was also willing to go, okay, so now I need to make more money for the tax that I will owe. But it wasn't this moment of like, oh my God, I made a wrong choice. I made a choice. With that choice that I made, something shows up. Now, what are you going to choose? And it's a continuous place to be in question and choose what it is you would like your future to be. But I'm going to stretch it out a bit and also ask everyone listening to this, what would you like as the future of the world? And what choice could you make for that? And I was just down at the swimming pool here at Alugar, and someone I haven't seen in quite a few years came up and said to me, this is amazing. Alugar is just so amazing. And she said, I want to thank you for everything that you've done, with this place. And I said, well, I'm not so sure that it's me that's done anything here, And then she said, yeah, but you invested. And I went, good point. I said, yeah, I bought bonds and I've invested and I've lent Alugar money and I've done all of that. I mean, I haven't picked up a hammer and nails and been doing any of that stuff here on site. But yeah, I have. And it was really cool to acknowledge myself and go, yeah, with my money, I chose to invest in something that I see is creating a greater future in the world, that is creating something entirely different. Like when I was running this morning and I ran into one of the participants that's coming to the class, and she gave me a hug and then she just started crying and she went, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's okay. And I said, you can cry. And she said, this place is amazing. She said, my body is just like crying. And I was like, I know. It's like, what level of vulnerability, is available for you here? For me, David, investing in something like that is just like, yes, please. What else?
That, and you get to see how your creativity now shows up in the world. This is what I love about investing. And this is also, I love what you talked about, investing your tax money in stocks, which I did as well. And as all the stocks went down at the beginning of the year, I was like, wow, and I will buy more stocks now because it's like an ongoing Black Friday.
Well, I love the way you look at that. Yeah, ongoing Black Friday sale. Yeah, it is.
Then I said, okay, well, this money is now invested in a long term, and I actually looking for, okay, well, then let's create more. But not from the freak out, from the frantic, oh my God, from the, okay, well, it is what it is. It's like, when you walk, you breathe normally. When you run, you need more oxygen. Okay, well, then breathe more and you will have more. Not freaking out. That was the gift that I found with the Access Consciousness tools. And that's for me, the mantra of Access. All of life comes to you with ease, joy, and glory. And even the bad news, even the tax bill, even that. And having ease with those moments where you go, okay, what can I create? Turn on the creativity, not freaking out. And that has turned my life from being worried or doubting myself or going, oh my God, I can't talk about anyone. This constant making yourself somehow wrong, judging yourself for the choices, that doesn't create anything.
No, I love that.
It takes the joy away. So so that's what I learned over the last 8 years, to truly to look at it, to go, okay, that was my choice, and to go into, okay, let's move on. The world won't stop turning just because you are short in cash.
Oh, I love that. That is so true. So I like the fact that you said turn your creativity on. And I know that you're great at that. I also know I'm great at that. And we don't make it about money, and we don't do the freak out of it. So
and we don't make it about it, but we include the money.
Yes.
Okay, because a lot of people think if it's for consciousness, it has to be for free. It only has to be for this. No, when I go, okay, I need to create that amount of money, I include it.
I love money.
I have to create it.
Yes. Yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it. Hey, what are some of the questions, or do you have a go-to tool about turning your creativity on instead of freaking out?
It's actually going to go, okay, it's getting this clarity. What is this? And what will create here? Because me freaking out just drags you down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I am actually aware of how powerful I am with the way I think, with the way it's incredible. And I've seen it. I have these moments where I go, damn it. But the minute I change that, it's like, let's change your point of view. Just be aware of what your point of view creates your reality. What you think is what you get. So your point of view, if you freak out, you'll have more of that frantic freak out, dragging down negative energy showing up.
Yeah.
But if you stay calm and present and go, okay, let's create it, then you will create something. What? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out.
Yeah. And go ahead.
It's truly that the most powerful tool I discovered is your point of view creates your reality. Okay, it's your thoughts that plant the seeds, and you will harvest what you plant. And it's more than thoughts. Okay, being, having a point of view goes way deeper. But that's how I actually have that strong talk with myself, going, what are you creating here? What question is that? And then I turn that around and move on. And sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 2 days.
And sometimes you might need to call someone. Like you and I both reached out to each other and gone, hey, can you help me with something? And it's like, call a friend who's not going to align and agree with you, someone who's actually going to ask you a question and maybe poke you where you might not want to be poked, but it will actually change your reality and change the way you're being. And I want to add something else to this too, because for me, it's like, I know having my own space is really valuable to me. And as we travel so much and have so many classes and meet so many people and everything, there are moments where I know I just have to go and be on my own. And it might be like a walk or run or, not going out to dinner and going to, bed early or something like that, or anything. But giving myself the space to it's almost like check in with myself and go, okay, where am I? Where's my reality? And I'm like, oh, okay, here it is. Because when I have that sense of peace is probably the best way to describe it, because it's not like this hysterical laughter, like I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy and laughing all the time or anything. It's this sense of peace and a sense of joy and a sense of gratitude. And when that is in my world, I know that I have a bigger spherical awareness of the possibilities that I can choose from, because it just sort of goes and reaches out across the entire world when I give myself the space. So what if you didn't look to other people to create the relevance of your point of view? Instead, allow yourself to have the space to have a different point of view that isn't based on this reality. It's based on the possibilities of what you could be choosing. Because anything is possible. Anything is possible. You've got to give yourself that space to be able to choose it.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Wow. Thank you, Simone.
Thank you. So I want to say thank you so much for being on this podcast, David. And we will have all of the details of David and how to get in touch with him and follow him on Instagram, etc. In the show notes. And like I said, we have a Choice for Wealth class, the intermediate Right Riches class, coming up live at the castle, and it's also online. The castle. I just assume that everybody knows where the castle is.
The Castello di Castelborgone.
Yes, and it's in Italy. So we'll be in Italy, and in order to go to that class, you do have to have done the Right Riches for you beginners, which I know there's a lot of Right Riches facilitators out there around the world that you can join their class. I've also got one coming up online very, very soon. So you can check that out. We'll have that in the show notes as well. And I think this is really fun, is if you are coming to the castle for Choice for Wealth class, David will have something a little extra. And what is that something a little extra, David?
It's a David Kubes School of Etiquette and Manners. I'm teaching etiquette, proper dinner etiquette. Actually, proper is very judgmental. I'm teaching. I want to invite people to that level of elegance and kindness and caring. They have, and to all the beauty that is available to us, the willingness to receive it and really be comfortable with it and enjoy it.
Yeah, and the thing about this is too, without saying whatever, I went to, when I was like 16, one summer holiday, my mother sent me to Joondalup Watkins School of Etiquette. And Joondalup Watkins was very well known for it. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, she even did things like taught you how to paint your nails, but how to like appear and how to eat and how to do all this sort of thing. And I'm really grateful that I have that information, because if you've ever sat down somewhere and gone, shit, what do I use here? What glass do I use? There's 4 glasses. There's like 3 knives and a spoon. And when do I use all this? It doesn't matter. Don't make it relevant. But I can tell you it's a lot more comfortable when you actually know how to use that. But also, if you don't know, to ask a question, because you're so comfortable with yourself that you're like, hey, can you please tell me which fork I use or anything for this dish? Because there's different utensils for each dish. And for me, it's about educating yourself to have a greater life with bigger, like greater, joyful choices. And that can lead to that choice for wealth. So it's not about being wrong. It's about educating yourself in something that you may not have been educated on. And David is fabulous at it. And he's friggin' funny. So if you can get to the castle, I highly recommend it. Although we are going to have a little element of that online too, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to stream the first part, and then we'll have 2 guys with cameras. Actually, when we go down and sit down for dinner, there will be live streaming. So you can join this class online as well.
Fabulous. Fabulous. How did we get so lucky? That's my question.
I'm so looking forward to this.
Me too. Cool. So thank you so much, David, for being here again on my podcast. I always love having you here. And everybody else, please share, subscribe, follow Choice, Change and Action on Instagram as well. It has its own Instagram channel, thing, whatever. So follow that. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for the feedback I get. I'm super grateful when you guys, slide into our DMs or send me a note and saying that you received something from this podcast, because that's why I do it. So thank you. And thank you again, David. And I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at Simone Milasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes. And lastly, have way too much fun today.